son. How you doing, Jim?
I'm alright, mate. I'm alright. You alright?
Yeah, I'm alright. What are you eating?
No, I'm not. Don't worry.
Nah.
Sorry, it's very unprofessional of me to be eating nuts.
Well, I mean, just eating. You don't have to.
Can't do without nuts in my mouth, Jim. What we've been watching.
So something else that we've actually watched together in the same room.
God, I gotta recount.
The Endless. Remember? By Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead. I was a massive fan of their first film, Resolution, which I think came out in 2012. Pretty much did festivals, I think very popular on the festival circuit, did fairly well critically. I think it came out on DVD over here, but didn't get a massive release at all. Their next film, which I think was 2014's Spring, did get the hype, did get a bigger release. Not as strong as Resolution. It has horror trappings, but it's much more kind of like a travel log, road movie, romance thing with horror elements in it. Done very well. Amazingly shot. It was 2014 and it was like the early days of drone camera work in an indie film. And I remember watching it just on DVD and just going like, wow. But what I loved about Resolution was its head fucking nature. Two best friends who haven't seen each other for a long time get together, one of which is like a drug addict. So his friend takes him out to this cabin in the middle of nowhere, handcuffs him to a radiator, I think it is, or some pipes anyway.
As you do.
In a way to kind of wean him off the drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, go cold turkey.
Yeah.
And then fucked up stuff starts happening. And, you know, it's walking that fine line of, is it cabin fever? Are they going crazy from that? Is it because the guy's, you know, getting off drugs? Or is messed up stuff actually starting to happen? The ending is stunning. Yeah, as I say, I saw this at Abattoir 2012 at the film festival. That was my favourite film that year. Just remember kind of walking out the cinema going, what? A very open ending, but in the best possible way. So it's kind of like the end of the world, universe, reality as we understand it. Endless, wow, is kind of like living in that post world. And it might not appear to be that way. Again, we're going to be really careful with spoilers on this. So the directors play the two main characters who escaped and got unbrainwashed from a cult. They're sent a mini DV tape from their former cult who kind of says, oh, don't worry, everything's fine, we'll be back in a few months. Which leads enough questions for the two guys to go back to the cult to find out what's happening. And stuff starts to happen from there.
And because of the nature of the story, it's very Lovecraft-esque. It's quite meta, trippy. There's a lot going on, a lot of things. There's the brother dynamic. There's the relationship with the cult. Are they good? Are they bad? Are they justified? What is actually happening? Time loops. There's a lot for your brain to kind of fathom, and I think they've done well in terms of pacing and storytelling. But I kind of like the videotape messages touch. I like that. Kind of harks back to like Prince of Darkness, that vibe. Cool vibe. Yeah. There was points in the film where the two brothers debating whether to leave or stay. That felt a bit too drawn out for me. That felt a bit like, come on, boys.
I mean, that's kind of the central thing, and that's the same with a lot of horror films, is why are you still there? You know, it's like the haunted house film is, just get out of the house. Oh, look, I'm going. And then the younger brother just kind of goes, well, obviously I'm going to come with you, aren't I?
Yeah.
So
that felt a bit kind of like rushed.
I quite like that bit. I felt that is probably kind of how, you know, family members would, they would just jump to that bit. You know, you don't really see the protagonists as ex-cult members. That felt kind of like I'm intrigued by that.
You kind of asking a lot of questions about the cult, why they left.
Yeah.
Because it kind of starts like after this has happened.
Yeah.
So you're like backtracking a bit and you're finding a bit of information.
There's a history that's then, revealed to you slowly.
That's what I mean. I like the pacing, how they revealed the history, the present issues. Everything's really happy. Everyone's got their place, and you know.
And they're all talking in really, and they kind of make a point of this. Is like, you know, stop talking vague, you know, just tell me what's going on. Which it's kind of felt like, at times it felt like I was watching Lost. It's like, we'll just kind of speak in very vague terms that you don't understand and doesn't make sense. And one of the brothers just kind of goes, what does that even mean? Which I really enjoyed that bit. And it felt very much like another film, The Initiation, about what if your friends were part of a cult and, you know, how would you interact with all of them. What I loved is it kind of set that up. And we were watching this and I was kind of thinking, okay, you know, this cult, and they're going to betray them coming back, and it was all a plan to lure them back, and then they're going to do some fucked up stuff. It actually turns out, and this is kind of spoilery, so be warned, the cult turns out to be benign.
They kind of like...
They are...
come and go there, whatever.
I mean, they might be wrong. And some of them admit the cult has no idea why stuff is happening or what's going on, but they know something is going on.
But that's what I liked about it, because they're not acting like a normal cult would. So why would people stay, and why would you be too afraid to go? Why did they go? Why was it such a big deal if it's not actually a big deal to leave? So there's a lot of questions which I think they did eventually answer.
The other thing I really enjoyed, and it's one of those things where you kind of you watch the end of the film and then you go, oh, there are little weird touches throughout the film. And I remember the first bit was when they're by the roadside and they see the picture that they drew with their mum.
Right, yeah.
And they make an offhand comment of, oh look, they must have replaced the frame, and the other brother goes, oh no, that's just the frame. And you kind of go, right, if they escaped like X number of years ago and that's just been left by the roadside, then is that just a continuity error? But obviously that does pay off. And then that weird thing with like the stalactites, because I remember there's just this weird rock formation, like very narrow, almost like a cane sticking out of the ground, and that these are scattered through the film, but you see it within the first 20 minutes, and you're kind of like, and they kind of go, oh yeah, no, it's just lava, and I'm watching this going, you know, I've never heard of that before, and you kind of don't want to go, you know, I felt like going to, Jim, is that something that happens in the real world or whatever? But it's so played down, you kind of just write it off in the line, and then you see it again and again and again. And there are other bits where they do that, and because all the other characters are so casual about it. You know, there's bits where they see like 2 or 3 moons, and they're like, oh yeah, no, it's just like, you know, like Aurora Borealis, you know, it's just like refracted light and all this kind of stuff, and that's it. It's played off. And then sometimes I think one of the women tries to say it, and then she laughs and says, I don't know what it is. But because the cult is never really played as super menacing. All of these little things, like they sow all these little seeds.
It's almost unsettling to an extent where you're like, well, what is this then? Well, what is that?
And nobody seems that bothered, apart from obviously the 2 brothers. And because the cult members are actually revealed to be pretty reasonable, you know, there's none of this. There's some jokes about the fact that they don't appear to have aged, which is important later on. And you know, like one of I think the younger brother kind of goes, oh yeah, no, I think she really likes me. And then the older brother goes, yeah, she used to babysit you, so, you know, she was probably a fucking pedo. It's like stuff that would be kind of sinister that they just kind of undercut with a joke straight off. So you're really unsettled as to, okay, should I be creeped out about this or shouldn't I be? You know, fucking multiple moons and all of this kind of stuff. And then, as Jim kind of said, there's these time loops that start happening.
And they're really freaky. I won't say too much. There's some really good scenes which are evident of that, and there's a really good horror to those scenes. Good sound designs, really creepy visuals.
It's almost like a mini encapsulated Groundhog Day. Like some characters are stuck in these moments,
but they're quite fucked up.
And there's one character, and again, kind of spoilery. We won't say who it is or whatever, but it's clearly lost the plot, and he doesn't get along with the other cult members, and there are bits where he tries to commit suicide in multiple different ways. And in the same way that in Groundhog Day, you know, there's a comedic montage of Bill Murray trying to kill himself, and we're all laughing along, which it's a good film, and it's kind of that, but it's like grislier and nastier, and the guy is clearly unhinged. But it is played for laughs along with menace at the same time. Kind of a sequel to their first film, Resolution,
which I've not seen, but you were
I fucking freaked out. Like when the characters from Resolution turn up in this, I'm like, holy shit, it's a sequel. Because it's not marketed as a sequel, probably because nobody fucking saw Resolution. But in the same way that Split kind of became a sequel to Unbreakable at the end, and
that's quite cool. That is.
It's an amazing kind of thing, and I'd be intrigued to see if they go somewhere else with it. I totally bought the brother dynamic. I thought that was an interesting dynamic because there was kind of like a bit of tough love in there as well. But underneath that tough love, there was genuine feeling. So, if one of the brothers didn't want to go, then clearly the other brother wasn't ever going to actually abandon him, which made for some good tension and, dramatic pushes and pulls through the film. It was the way it was shot. I think it looked like it had an anamorphic lens, didn't it? Because it had that kind of warping at the sides. And there were some interesting bits when the camera kind of, panned over. Weird things were happening, and I think you kind of noticed and kind of went, oh, was that intentional? Because it almost looked like a bit of a glitch. But then if it was time loops and stuff like that, it could also...
It could have been put in, but again, it's all visually, they've clearly thought about it. And I think that's a testament to their directing abilities. Such a broad vision, such an understanding of the script and the story, and they were on top of every aspect of the story, and even to the point of the finer details. And they understood what they were going for, the pace and the characters, and then to bring it all together. Fair play to them. They did a really good job.
Yeah. I think all of their films have been Lovecraftian to a degree.
Blatantly,
I mean, Spring in more in the fact that slightly spoilers. There's sea creatures kind of thing in there, which is a Lovecraftian, mermaid from hell kind of thing. Lovecraftian end of the universe, cosmic dread shit in Resolution, and in Endless. It's like an Easter egg of a film. There's all these little pieces and all these little bits that pay off, or you're led to believe one thing and then it kind of subverts your expectations.
It was kind of like watching like Lost. Where Lost failed miserably.
Yeah.
They managed to do quite successfully, albeit fair enough over a smaller time frame. Sort of hour and a half, or whatever it was, rather than a whole 7 seasons of Lost. But they never copped out at the end. I thought the ending was pretty good.
Yeah.
It concluded nicely. So you didn't leave thinking, oh, that was just a big pile of pretentious faff.
How difficult they were finding the real world. And that was the younger brother was always, because he was younger when they left the cult, he always had kind of more nostalgia and rose tinted glasses about the cult.
But when you do revisit the cult, everybody's working together, there's all smiles, everybody's youthful.
Yeah.
And you think, oh, I can understand why actually they didn't want to go.
Yeah.
And again, but that sparks questions in your head, but it's a cult, so they must have a dark side. What is that dark side,
And there's stuff that's said early on about, sex cults and all that kind of stuff, which is then paid off later. You'd escape this cult, right? And they basically couldn't hold down jobs as cleaners. And you kind of they were... using the kitchens they were cleaning to actually cook their lunches and shit like that.
Really, two guys struggling.
Yeah. And there's a line from the younger brother who kind of says along the lines of, hey, do you remember what it was like to actually eat real food that we grew? As he's shoveling, dry instant noodles into his mouth. And it played it really well. So they did all this really good groundwork in the first 20 minutes. That meant, when they took you on this, mind fuck of a journey, you were following on with it. And the ending, which I won't give away, who cared whether they lived or died? Which, when you put your characters through these ringers, you want the audience to actually give it shit.
Yeah. And you've clearly done your job as a director if the audience wants your characters to survive, or cares what happens.
If you enjoyed it, try track down Resolution, which is their first film. Track down Spring, which is a really good film, just not as headfucky as Resolution or Endless. Another one it reminded me of, which was, again, a low budget, headfucky indie film where actually the director was a lead actor in it as well, was Primer. You ever seen Primer? Oh, Shane Carruthers. It's like a time travel, but a guy who creates a time machine, but similar kind of headfucky structure kind of thing. I'll give you a lens. I'll give you a lens.
Oh, there's that Netflix TV show. What was that called?
What,
With
The
tunnels. The Dark, yeah.
Never saw. Was it good?
Yeah, very good. That was a lot of time travel, almost like butterfly effect kind of, you know, people go back in time, they make alterations, that affects, and it's all based on this town and this tunnel, there's missing children and potential murderers. That's a really good TV show.
So The Dark.
The Dark, check that out. But I've built my nose, pounding headaches.
He's feeling very sensitive about it. So internet, we know how kind and not mean you are. You can never ever mention Jim's.
If you burn yourself, send us some pics. We'd love to see them.
What?
I can feel better about myself. Anything.
Really?
It depends how adventurous you are, really.
On nudist beach, and, you know, just like
No schlongs.
Trizzo.